Thank you, Chris. Now to tonight's I Want to Know, a chance for you to get your questions answered. Joining us live tonight is attorney Nicaud Sunseri. Thanks for being here, Mr. Sunseri.
Good to be here.
All right, nice to see you. Before we get to our viewer questions, let's discuss a move today by the state Senate. Senators voted to give homeowners a $93 million tax break on insurance premiums, along with Governor Blanco's plan to give insurance companies grants to conduct business in Louisiana. Will this work for the benefit of the property owners or not, Mr. Sunseri?
I think it's a start. I don't think it's an end-all solution, but I think it's an incentive to help people afford housing, because one of the reasons the real estate market's in the dumps right now is because people can't afford insurance. It's like paying 2 house notes to afford insurance. So I think it's a start, but there's a lot more work to do.
All right. Our first viewer question deals with another idea from the legislature. Susan from Algiers asks, if the state passes the law that requires insurance companies to accept bundled homeowners policies from citizens, will the individual homeowner have any say in the matter? I don't want to be forced to buy a policy that can be canceled within 3 years, be excluded from wind and hail coverage by the new company, or have a hurricane deductible, none of which has happened so far under Citizens.
I think if under that plan what happens is Citizen may sell bundles of insurance policies to private companies, and I think the private companies are ultimately in a better position to service your company. If one of your Louisiana Citizen policies is assumed by a private company in this type of bundled sale, they would abide by the same terms and conditions of the insurance policy that Louisiana Citizens had written from the very beginning.
All right, but there's not likely going to be any change in the cost of premiums.
No, I don't think it would. In fact, I think your servicing maybe it'll be a little better with a private company as opposed to a quasi-state company.
All right. Here's a question from Paul in Lacombe. And Paul writes, I have recently read and been told that the Louisiana insurance companies cannot cancel homeowner insurance policies that have been in effect for over 3 years. I was insured with Farm Bureau for over 3 years when they canceled my homeowners after Katrina. Farm Bureau informed me that they would write a new homeowner policy excluding wind and hail, and would write a wind and hail policy with Louisiana Citizens at more than twice what I was paying before Katrina. Farm Bureau told me they were given an exemption to the no cancellation rule by the insurance commissioner. My question, this deal with the insurance commissioner seems to have an odor to it. Has anyone investigated this?
I'm not aware of any type of investigation. I think Farm Bureau's position is we didn't cancel your policy, we just modified the terms and conditions by eliminating wind and hail. So I don't know of any type of investigation. That's something that's going to be conducted by the Department of Insurance, but if they approved it, they approved it.
What about the one's right to sue over such a clause?
Well, again, you could technically sue, I guess, under that, technically, but it wouldn't probably be cost effective for a single premium holder to do that. So again, that's sort of within the purview of the Department of Insurance. And if you have a modification or cancellation of your policy, always check with the Department of Insurance to see if it's viable.
Good deal. Mike from Plaquemines Parish emailed us this question. And Mike says, if insurance companies are excluding wind and hail coverage, why are they being allowed to charge higher rates for less coverage, i.e. fire and theft only? The risk is no different in South Louisiana as opposed to Minnesota, for example.
That's a good question, and I don't know why. In fact, if you check the financial data of a lot of these insurance companies, they've had their best quarters even with paying out the claims with Hurricane Katrina. So I have no explanation as to why they're charging higher premiums for less scope of coverage, and it probably shouldn't happen.
So who's looking out, Mr. Sunseri, then, for the poor consumer? Who's having to foot the bill for these exorbitant rate increases when at the same time the insurance company is cutting back on the amount of service?
I mean, technically it's a couple things. First of all, technically it should be the Department of Insurance and to a lesser extent the legislature. But again, what I think we have to have an environment is to foster free enterprise and a competition among the insurance companies. And once that happens, then I think the rates will be driven down. But I think they're sort of colluding in a certain way, not overtly, but sort of all saying this is an excuse to raise premiums because they were hit by Katrina 2 years ago. And you know, we might not get hit for another 40 years, and I think they know that as far as their models are concerned, but they're not acting in that manner.
All right, Mr. Sunseri, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.